Perfect. Good morning.
Good morning.
That should be us going live. Forgive me, I'm going to look down to the right here and allow Fi to just introduce herself while I'm letting other people know that we're now live.
Okay. Well, I'm Fi Mathieson, and as you may have seen from the invite, we're going to talk about agility in the workplace. It's something, the workplace is changing rapidly, and it's just something Jay and I thought we would discuss because it's actually a really fun subject, and it's a real valuable tool in the workplace.
Yeah, I think one thing I've noticed is Agile is one of those key words. There's lots of those buzzwords within the industry, and Agile really is one of those things that is becoming more and more key, and more people are starting to talk about how do they make it work and why is Agile important.
And what is it? Exactly, what is it? Well, how does it affect the business? And why has it come about? Why is it a buzzword now?
I'm going to turn that, make sure that's off so we're not hearing ourselves, because that could be a real challenge. And it also means that if anybody's got any questions or anybody wants to give any input at all, that they're really welcome to do so. So thank you for joining us today for our Facebook Live, talking all about Agile working from SpacePod.
Yeah. So when you look at what Agile is, what agility in the workplace is, it's how we work, when we work, and where we work.
Right, okay.
And that is changing, and it doesn't take a mathematician to figure out that this is changing rapidly with the onset of new technology. We're living longer. The workplace now consists of multi-generations.
Okay.
And how does the workplace engage employees of different ages, different cultures, and increase productivity and encourage collaboration in a very fast-changing work environment? So you've got your baby boomers who are now heading up to retirement.
Right, okay.
And I thought what I would do is talk about a scenario, a typical workplace scenario, people of different ages, and we should then start to get the holistic view of agility in the workplace.
Yeah, so I guess it's interesting because when we walk into a workplace now, it's not as it might have been in one time where the majority of people are all of a similar age and a similar type. Now we've got that situation where they're meeting people who are both a lot older than them and a lot younger than them, and how that all comes together.
Yeah. You're going to have one person who's 62 has decided, actually, I'm not ready to fully retire yet, but what I'd really like to do is cut down my hours. When I do come into the office, I like sitting at a desk. This is why I don't enjoy all the new technologies, but I use technology to get my job done. And actually, my doctor says I should probably go for an hour's walk every day at lunchtime.
Right. Yeah.
But when I come back, I'd actually like to sit down in a collaboration area and have a cup of tea with my workmates and actually talk about something that's really important to the job. And then you've got somebody else who has come in and they're 22. Yeah. They've just finished studying. They've been texting all their lives.
Texting since they were 2, yeah.
Absolutely. They have a different style. Fundamentally, they have a different style of working. That you could argue that they're more agile. Right, okay. They can adapt to change probably quicker just because of the way that we've been brought up in the latest generation. And they work differently just by nature of their age and their experience. And how does an organisation encourage these multi-generations to work together and collectively and make use of the latest technologies to work together and generate results and remain competitive. So what we've found is if you create an area where you're encouraging collision and movement within the workplace, you're going to improve the agility of that workplace. And that's the important issue. And that's how an actual workspace is changing. It's no longer solid desks. everyone goes to their set area and they stay there.
Right.
We're finding that people don't want to do that. And
right.
it doesn't actually encourage productivity. When you're not sharing, co-working, when you're not collaborating,
right.
you're not productive.
So you mentioned about kind of collisions and people working with other parts of the organisation. I guess in times gone by, those collisions would have taken place in a meeting room and been planned. But you were talking earlier, just before we started, that actually some of the most powerful connections are actually the unplanned.
They are. There've been a lot of research has been done, and they definitely suggest that the more unplanned, informal collisions that produces real creative sparks, and I think we find that as well. You know, if we could have something on our mind and a problem that we're trying to fix, and we could bump into somebody at the tea corner, and you talk about it, and somebody else is sharing knowledge, goes, oh, I know someone who can help with that. They've done that before. I'll put you in touch with them, and then go, oh, actually, we should sit down and chat about this. And you don't have to set up a formal. She's like, while we're here, do you want a cuppa? And we'll sit down over there, and we'll chat about it.
So would you say that in terms of the projects that you work on with SpacePod, would you say that a one-size-fits-all is the rule, or is it important to understand how the makeup of each client is to ensure that that's...
I'm glad you brought that up. It's understanding a company's needs. So part of our approach has always been a bespoke approach to design, understanding, doing a needs analysis, meeting up with a company and getting a feel for not just what the key stakeholders want, but actually getting right in there and finding out, you know, what all of them want. What are the needs of every person in that company? Because if you get that right, you know, you really are, you're sending a message to your staff. And again, one of the key components of remaining competitive for an organisation now is not only attracting employees but retaining them.
Right. Yeah.
And also sending a message. What organisations want to do now is actually they want their building or their workspace to send a key message to staff about their values, their virtues. Without it's that subliminal message. And of course, you want people to come into work. You want it to be an extension of home. There's a lot of talk at the moment about well-being in the workplace. We're all trying to live healthier lives and find more of a balance between work and home life. And an agile workplace can certainly aid that. And so when we go visit an organisation and we find out what the needs of the business are, and we go from there, because you've got to cater for everybody. And some people will want a fixed space, and there's always going to be a need for a formal boardroom come work meeting. You need what's it called? Confidential areas where you can, remain confidential, and there's always, you're never going to lose that, but you still want to encourage these collisions, and you want movement in the office place. And of course, people working, there's flexibility as well. More and more people are able to work on the move, choose where they work, when they work, and they might be out and about visiting clients, and then they pop in, and they don't want a rigid place. They might just want to park their laptop somewhere and crack on and catch up with others in the office and make sure that they haven't lost touch with what's happening in there.
Yeah, I guess that is one of the challenges is when we're kind of like me, I'm out and about a lot. Yeah. So when I drop back into the office, being able to make those connections with the various people to find out where things are with various projects.
Absolutely.
Just gives that opportunity to do that. And one of the things also, I guess, is that different people work in different ways.
Yeah.
So there will be those that like to be in a focused area and have a quiet booth that they can go and be in, and others that are much happier doing some of their tasks in a more open plan.
Totally. And you don't want to, you need to provide for everybody, and that collaboration between the different working styles, because they can work together. And actually, as long as you've catered for everybody, as much as you can,
sure.
within reason, you're going to have a much happier work environment, which is more productive.
Great. And what would you say to somebody who's just starting out down the road of looking at the whole thing of agile working? Where do you start in terms of?
I think you start at looking at your current work environment. Is everyone happy?
Mm-hmm.
How does everybody work? It doesn't mean you have to go and spend a lot of money. It's simply a case of thinking of work not as a place but as an activity.
Okay.
And I'd say that's key.
Right.
And you can look at your own environment and talk to people, get their feedback, find out how they would like to work. Unless you talk to people and open up those conversations, you're never going to know. You could find out that someone's really battling with home life
mm-hmm.
and would hugely value more flexible working hours. Or somebody who goes, I'd like to go for a run in the morning, but we don't have a shower here. And but I like running, and I like running in the morning.
Yeah.
And if I go home, it's going to take out, it's going to come out of my work day, and you start to get a picture of how people want to work. And if you find out how they want to work, it's not always expensive, to put in a shower or to accommodate something. It doesn't mean that you have to forsake space. You actually just have to be clever.
Just using the space in a different way, perhaps.
Totally.
Just makes
optimizing the space that you have, because organizations actually need with the improvements in technology,
mm-hmm.
they're needing less space.
Right.
They want to, but they're changing their space. So rather than having fixed desks, they're now having hot desks, and technology allows their staff to nip in and out of the office and then fully engage when they're in the office.
So for those people that are perhaps in a situation of growth and are thinking about moving into new office space, actually there is some value in engaging with somebody like SpacePod early on in order to determine whether they do need as much addition. So we're growing by 50%. Does that mean we need 50% more space, or actually is there a way of us working differently that enables that to grow without necessarily needing lots more real estate?
It's that age-old thinking outside the box. You look at your space, you look at what you need, and then come and talk to us, because there are things that you would never have thought of before. And of course you haven't been exposed to them, so it doesn't cross your mind. But you come to SpacePod and you go, I've got 50 people that I need to cater for. Some are out in the field, others nip in. This is where they live geographically.
Mm-hmm.
This is how often they work and and how they work. And some people like to have writable wall surfaces, and others like to type out and do PowerPoint presentations. So everyone works differently.
Sure.
And it's quite exciting to get an understanding and a real feel for a company, and then deliver something that is just a joy to go into, and that's what you want. You want to go into work and work freely, and and have that responsibility. This is my job. And instead of going, you will work 9 to 5 every day, and you will sit at that desk, and you will have an hour's lunch break. That's not how the workplace is now.
So it's looking at more outputs rather than inputs, perhaps.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. I really look forward to catching up on some more really useful things in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Jay.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. You too.